Which defenders should we be buying and owning for FPL Game Week 1? The new season starts officially next week, so we need to be starting to really consider locking in some players into our teams. We're going to look at data, defender rotations, premium defenders, and cheap ones. Talk about DEFCON as well. Who are the best defenders for your teams for Game Week 1? What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, 2,000 likes is the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here as well. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. No video from me yesterday on Sunday, but we are officially back with a video every single day between now and the start of the new FPL season. So if you are not subscribed already and you want lots of useful things about different teams, different players to buy, this is also the first of a 3-day series that I do every single year around the best defenders, midfielders, and forwards that I'm considering for the start of the season. So if that sounds good, drop a like if you enjoy and subscribe if you are not already. But where else to start than having a look at some of the data from the defenses last season. Now, last year in the Premier League, Arsenal, of course, were the best defense, head and shoulders above everyone else. And we've heard from Arteta over the weekend that Saka, Declan Rice, and all the other World Cup players are expected back in training today on Monday. So that should bolster their defense a little bit because in pre-season they are yet to keep a clean sheet. There has been lots of change around who's starting, and we'll discuss Arsenal a bit more detail. But defensively, we all know they were very solid last year. Next up is Manchester City. Now, that, of course, was under Pep Guardiola, and it had Rodri in the team who might be leaving. So we're a little bit uncertain exactly what they're going to look like, who's going to be lining up there. Vardy sounds like he's nailed, but Diaz and Mark Gay both start. Is O'Reilly going into midfield? What's going to happen in central midfield without Rodri? But they are still a very strong defence. The others that I have an eye on in terms of cheaper options, Virgil van Dijk and Liverpool are right up there. But is there a cheaper way into the defence? Of course, they've just signed Araujo. They've got Kirkes at left back. Who's going to be slotting in at right back? Is it going to be Frimpong for the start of the season? By their opening run of games, as you can see, their ranks really high, as does Manchester United. Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, very popular. They improved in the second half of the season defensively under Carrick, and they have a really strong start to the season. Brighton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Spurs, all worth considering as well. So I think the best place to start is probably with the best team and best defence in the league, of course, is Arsenal. So looking at their midfield, it looks like Bruno Guimaraes, of course, has joined and should be ready for the start of the season. Declan Rice is also back. So midfield solidity is definitely there, but it doesn't feel quite like the defensive solidity is. They are yet to keep a clean sheet in pre-season, despite the fact that their main starting defenders, probably for the start of the season, have all been playing. David Raya has been absent, and Kepa is no David Raya at the best of times, and I don't think that has particularly helped. So I'm not reading too much into it, not letting it put me off, and we'll have a look at how they perform in the Community Shield next weekend. If you have the money, I do think the closer we get, people will start to just buy Gabriel at 8 million just to have a set and forget option, because at the moment, there really feels like a lot of uncertainty around all the other options. David Raya at 6 million feels very expensive when a lot of people are looking to bench boost in either game week 1 or game week 2, meaning that you need 2 starting goalkeepers. And with there being no 4 million goalkeeper, to buy David Raya and a 4.5 does feel like a lot. But if you are not bench boosting early, I do think I would go with David Raya over someone like a Verbruggen, a Kinski that a lot of people are going with. If you're not doing David Raya, you're left picking either Gabriel for 8 million or one of the other rotation prone options. Now, we have heard from Arteta that Timber is likely to be out for a few more weeks. And based off his injury record and Arteta's honesty around injuries, I would not be surprised if Timber does not start any of the first 5, in which case that is the next international break when we might expect Timber to return, which makes Ben White at 5.5 million look really appealing. In the preseason friendly on Sunday against Borussia Dortmund, it was White, Mosquera, Gabriel and Calafiori, which we would think, okay, you've got White, Mosquera, Calafiori all at a good price. But Calafiori came off at 59 minutes for Hincapié. I really like Calafiori, but that is a slight concern. And if they sign another centre-back who comes in for Mosquera, could Mosquera go right back given Ben White's slight injury record? Which is why I think the closer we get to game week 1, Gabriel will become more popular, as will David Raya, just for that safety early on in the season. At the moment, I do think that Ben White, Mosquera, and Calafiori are all pretty nailed for the start of the season, and Hincapié will be used as a sub to alleviate and reduce minutes for particularly Mosquera at centre back and Calafiori at left back. But as we get closer, if Timber is ruled out for a further period of time, Ben White at 5.5 does feel pretty secure. Just keep an eye on if they sign a centre back and the knock-on impact they have on Mosquera. So generally, I think White, Mosquera, Calafiori are all good. I think I would start with a fullback in either Ben White or Calafiori. Now, there is a lot of talk around a certain Manchester City defender in Vardiol, but I think we should be talking a little bit about O'Reilly. Manchester City are also expecting all of their World Cup players, including O'Reilly, to be back in training early on in this week between Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on the different players. Now, he had a price increase up to 6.5 million, and we're not certain exactly what role he's going to play because Vardiol's been playing left back. O'Reilly should slot in there. But if they sell Rodri, could O'Reilly and Anderson be their two midfielders going into the season? Because that's actually where O'Reilly naturally played, a lot further up the pitch, and we know what he's capable of doing. Now, we do have the Community Shield, not only for Arsenal, but Manchester City next weekend. And if O'Reilly starts and looks good, I do think people will start to go back to him. And I have a plan in my team about how I might free up some money to go from Vardiol to O'Reilly, because even at 6.5 million, if we think Vardiol is going to start game week 1 and then start the games beyond, he should be first choice. I have no doubt about that. His attacking threat, we even saw it at times for England, is so good. And I think the opening 5 are pretty good. Bournemouth at home, Palace away is fine. Coventry at home, Sunderland at home. Now, United, Liverpool away is not perfect, but I think he could be a great option, and I fully expect him to outscore Vardiol. It's just whether he's ready for game week 1. Now, another player that I want to discuss who's not in my top 10 defenders to buy is around Pedro Porro. Of course, he signed a new contract at Spurs, then went to have a fantastic World Cup campaign with Spain, who then went on, of course, to win the World Cup. And Pedro Porro was one of the standout players for Spain at that tournament. And I think he will have a big season. My concern for him, just around a few other players, is A, is he definitely available for the start of the season? And at 5.5 million at that price, you've got someone like a Vardiol, you've got an Arsenal defender, and you've got a Kinski at 4.5. A lot of people are going for the Spurs goalkeeper, who is $1 million cheaper. If you're not, and you're going for a David Wright or doing a different goalkeeper combination, then maybe we can consider Porro, but I'm not certain he'll start the season. I think his attacking threat will be good, and I do think Spurs will be improved, but just the combination of the Arsenal defenders, the City defenders at the same price, Kinski being much cheaper, and the late return to pre-season means he's probably an avoid, but I do think he is a good pick. Now, I do want to talk about two very cheap Sunderland defenders, and I think these should be absolutely on radar for you if you are bench boosting in game week 1 or game week 2 and you're planning an early wildcard. Particularly Hume, 4.5 million, but we've also got 09 in here at 4 million. A lot of people looking at Mukiele and looking at Ballard. So the reason that both of these players are interesting, Hume has been playing all of pre-season on the right wing. He is a 4.5 million defender. Yes, you heard that right. Playing right wing for Sunderland. He scored in a pre-season friendly over the weekend. They are linked with other right wingers, but there is nothing concrete in the market. And he also ended last season playing in that right wing position. So we do expect, going into the start of the season for game week 1 and game week 2, that he will be playing there. Now, his attacking data is not fantastic, and he almost gets no DEFCON out there. So he's not actually a complete game breaker, and he might lose his place further down the line. So it does come with risk. But if you are looking to bench boost in one of the first couple of weeks, and you've got a Harry Maguire, you've got a Ballard, you've got a Mukiele, and you're looking to free up funds, just keep an eye on Hume. If he starts the last couple of preseason friendlies that Sunderland do have over the next week, he will become very popular, especially if you're committed to an early wildcard. The other one is a 4 million option in 09, who has also started a lot of preseason games. At the moment, Mukiele and Alderete are both significant doubts for the start of the season. And they also have Thomas Munir in at right back, who is also not fully up to match fitness, which means they are lacking defenders. And 09 has been playing in that centre-back role alongside Ballard, who also picked up a knock in the most recent preseason friendly for Sunderland. And it does sound like both Alderete and Mukiele will be doubts for the start of the season, particularly Alderete, who picked up quite a bad injury during the World Cup. So if we get to the start of the season, again, both of these players might become issues once the transfer window ends or when players come back to full fitness. But both of them at 4.5 and 4 million, I'm safer on a Hume. '09 a slightly bigger risk, but he's better than a Coventry. He's better than a Ipswich defender. For the first 2 weeks are definitely worth considering. So those are some players I wanted to discuss who are not in my top players to buy for defenders this season at the moment. But between now and game week 1, if O'Reilly gets good minutes, if we see Hume or '09 continue to be nailed, if the Arsenal defender conversation changes a little bit, they are all on radar for me. But in terms of my ranking at the moment, we also have a budget defender ranking in just a moment. At the moment, Gabriel is number 1. On the Fantasy Football Scout website where I build all of the tables for all of these videos, if you want to sign up, they are still offering a big discount during pre-season. I build all of my data tables. I look at fixture tickers completely free. You can get your squad rated during pre-season and throughout the rest of the season as well. There is a link in the description to get you signed up to the premium area. I honestly use it every single day to hopefully make my decisions and make me a better FPL manager. And Gabriel is number 1 for me, and they predict he will be the highest scoring defender. And I have no surprise at that. He missed a big chance against Borussia Dortmund. I just think as we get closer, if we find ways to free up money in our teams, Gabriel will be where we spend it. I think Virgil van Dijk, again predicted by the scout prediction tool to do very well, is being slept on. His DEFCON numbers are not bad. His opening 5 fixtures are great, and defensively, they were the 3rd best for underlying data last season. There's just a little bit of uncertainty of what their defense will look like. Xhaka, a little bit of an injury doubt. Araujo's just joined on loan. They've got Kirkes at right back. They've got Frimpong, who's still not fully up to match fitness, but I like Virgil van Dijk at 6.5. Him versus O'Reilly is very close. But Van Dijk's goal threat, 6 goals in the second half of the season, was crazy good with their new set-piece coach and Szoboszlai delivering it. Please don't forget about him. They are both better, but more expensive than the Arsenal defenders. So the opening 5 are mixed, I think we can say, for Arsenal. But we had the same conversation last year, and we got put off. And then they kept 7 clean sheets in their first 10 games. And I just think that preseason has been what it's been for them. But with the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and Declan Rice coming back into the team, I think they'll be strong. So at the moment, Calafiori is there, then it's Mosquera, but I'm keeping a very close eye on Ben White due to a Timber injury update. Then I really like Vardiol. He does look pretty nailed. He can play left back if O'Reilly's not ready, and then he can slot in at left centre back. Now, they do have Vardiol, Diaz, and Mark Gay all to play those centre back spots if O'Reilly's at left back, but maybe O'Reilly plays central midfield in the Community Shield. But either way, I think his minutes to start the season will be great. He's been very involved in pre-season. Their opening fixtures are good. He's just 5.5. And like Van Dijk, I think Tarkowski has been a little bit forgotten because of the price increase. We're trying to find money to spend on our midfield and forward line, but Van Dijk and Tarkowski have been consistently good goal scorers, DEFCON, clean sheets, and just hauling every single week. He's up to 6 million. But he's nailed, and the opening run is not bad. Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, United, Spurs, Ipswich, I like that. Defensively, data-wise, they weren't great towards the back end of last season, particularly away from home, but I like him. Then you start to get into the 5 million DEFCON options. For me, Mremovic, because of the Leeds opening 5, is 1. Then it's Maguire, and then it's Ballard, partly because someone like a Hume means that I'm not sure Ballard is quite as good, and game weeks 4 and 5 are really difficult for him. The other one I've got is Williams at Nottingham Forest. 5 million. He looks very attacking during pre-season. Slightly concerned if he's definitely going to get enough attacking returns to outweigh the lack of DEFCON that he's going to get. But he's got a few nice fixtures in game week 1 and game week 5, so I don't mind him as a pick. And then when you have a look at a few of the cheaper ones, so of course 5 million down, Mremovic, Maguire, Ballard, Williams are all in there. And then I've gone with Colwill. I think Chelsea have been a little bit better in pre-season over the past couple of games defensively. Colwill's DEFCON numbers are not particularly bad. He averaged 10 per 90 last year, although played very few minutes, so read into that what you want. And apart from the Arsenal game in the first 5, I think you can play him pretty much every single week. He is nailed from the opinion of a Chelsea fan. Then I'm going with Ajer. Now, Ajer versus Luke Shaw is really close. It depends a little bit on what weeks you want to play them. If you want someone really good early on, or maybe you want to carry them slightly longer, the Brentford fixtures hold out a little bit better. I just like Ajer's DEFCON ability and his attacking threat over just Luke Shaw's a little bit of attacking threat. Then there are a few I'm keeping my eye on, particularly Joe Rodon. He is playing pretty advanced as a centre-back, and if Leeds continue to play a back three, maybe the money saved on Rodon versus Mihrelovic is a good idea. You could also have a look at Brighton, and I've gone with Kadioglu. Now, Vuskovic is a great DEFCON option, but they play Thursday night before game week 1, and I think they'll rotate. They've got a lot of good centre-backs now, and I'm not certain exactly who's going to be nailed. They've got Vuskovic, they've got Pascal Struijk, they've got Dunk, they've got other options in there, and it slightly concerns me early on with the addition of Europe for Vuskovic, whereas Kadioglu feels more nailed. And the 4 million option one is Thomas. We spoke about cheap options in a video last week. Thomas, we've spoken about 09 in this video. You've also got O'Shea at Ipswich. It really just depends on what week you're looking to play your bench boost, if you need them at all. And as we do every single season, I love rotating pairs, particularly in defense. And we're going to talk about some of these that might also help with your bench boost. This is part of the completely free, you don't even need an account, Fantasy Football Scout fixture ticker. You just click the rotation option. I'll put the graphic up on screen about how you do it. This is what helps me build all of these. And when I talk about rotation pairs on Instagram and Twitter, this is often where I'm getting it from. Vardiol and Thomas. Now, you might not want to bench Vardiol for a Coventry defender, and I completely get that, but it does rotate well, and you can bench boost them together in game week 2. But if you want to rotate Thomas with another couple of options, he rotates pretty well with Ipswich, but really well with Kadioglu and Brighton. If you wanted to go for Vuskovic for the DEFCON, you could do that. Both of those rotation pairs work really well. Thomas, a nice cheap 4 million option, either with O'Shea, also with Kadioglu. O'Shea, Thomas isn't quite as perfect, but just to cover your first bench, if you need to save money and spend it elsewhere, I don't mind that. Now, Kadioglu also rotates really well with a couple of others. If you want to go with Hume or Ballard or even Mukiele, if he's available from Sunderland, again, they've got Ipswich. You could bench boost both of them in game week 1 and then rotate them pretty well. It also works very similarly for Kadioglu and Harry Maguire. Bench boost game week 1 if you want to do that. Play both of them in game week 1 if you want to do that. And then rotate them as both for the first 10 matches. Really nice rotation pairs, also with the option to bench boost. Similarly, when you go over to Leeds. So we've spoken in this video about Mihrelovic. I really like him. He's in my latest draft. But I am also looking at Joe Rodon. Both of these have a great opening 5 and they rotate really well. Either going back to Sunderland, you've got Ballard, you've got Hume, you've even got 09. You can bench boost in either of the first couple of weeks. It also works really well with Kadioglu or Vuskovic. Again, over the first 10 weeks, these options are rotating really well, plus ticking the box if you want to bench boost with them. Looking at a couple of 3-way rotations, you've got O'Shea, Thomas, and actually Robinson of Fulham, who picked up an attack in return in their most recent preseason friendly. He's got a very small penalty share as he took one at the end of last year. There's no real way to bench boost with these unless you saved it for game week 6. But if you want to spend money elsewhere and have some cheap defenders, they do rotate really nicely. And the final 3-way rotation, again, completely built through the free Fantasy Football Scout fixture ticker, is Harry Maguire, Colwill, and Thomas. All 3 of these made it into my top 10 cheap defenders to consider. Rotate really well. Bench boost in game week 2, Maguire, Colwill, Thomas, all with home fixtures, and then rotate them as well for the first 10 weeks. Cheap defenders, mid-price defenders, all my thoughts on defenders from Arsenal to Liverpool to rotating pairs. That is all for the best defenders to buy. Tomorrow, we will be back with midfielders. So if you want a certain group of them to be discussed, drop it all in the comment section down below. Let me know if there's anything in this video you've learned. Thank you for watching. Check out Fantasy Football Scout, their data, their fixture tickers for all you need during preseason. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe before I go, and I'll be back again very soon.